it was a foregone conclusion. Michel Barnier, the French Prime Minister, knew it would be very difficult for him to stay in office. And in his final words just before the vote, it was very much a goodbye speech, stressing what he had achieved. He has now lost 331 votes against him. That's more than the required majority. And I can tell you that the MPs who have left the National Assembly and who are now walking around, we've been able to speak to some of them. One national rally, an MP from the Alpes-Maritimes in the south of France, from the French far-right party, of course. Well, I asked her, are you happy? Are you relieved? She says, neither. We knew this was going to happen. We knew we'd win the vote. Michel Barnier had to go. His budget was just unacceptable, unjust, unfair for the French people. So, of course, as you can imagine, sweet victory smiled on the faces of the left-wing bloc and the far right, who both voted to oust Michel Barnier. And on the other hand, we just saw Bruno Retailleau, the Interior Minister, very much silent. He didn't say a word as he left, very disappointed by the situation. Michel Barnier, the French Prime Minister, is gone after only 3 months in office, and the government in France has collapsed.
It's a remarkable situation, Clovis. You're right at the centre of things there at the National Assembly, the Assemblée Nationale, just on the banks of the River Seine. Do you get any sense where you are right now about what might happen next, about who, for instance, could possibly move into the frame to replace Michel Barnier?
Indeed, and President Emmanuel Macron has now returned from Saudi Arabia. He's at the Élysée Palace, just the other side of the Seine, and he will now see Michel Barnier, who will hand over his letter of resignation. That's the tradition. And of course now, the situation. There's no power vacuum, of course. The government stays in place as a caretaker, as an interim government, if you will, until the French president finds a suitable candidate and names a new prime minister. Difficulty here, and it is a very big task for President Macron, it is to find someone who can get some kind of majority at the National Assembly in order to pass laws. Someone possibly from the centrist movement, the centrist bloc, possibly from the left, but someone who would not antagonize the right-wing Parti Les Républicains. Very complicated task indeed, and there is also the possibility for President Macron of putting in place a technocratic government. One point that we've been stressing all day today is that the French president can't call new snap elections before June. Why? Because the last one was only in July. So that makes it complicated. And finally, the far left and some members of the far right calling for the resignation of President Macron. He's already ruled it out. He says that's pure fiction. It's not going to happen.